Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and I am ready to get my junk journaling on as I jump into the Illustrated Faith devotional, Speak Life. Let's go! All right, so today I am diving into this new devotional called Speak Life from Illustrated Faith, and I will certainly link it and all of the supplies I'm going to use down below. You can find them over at Illustrated Faith. I'm going to journal in my faith planner, which is where I've been putting some of the journaling things I've been doing this year with Illustrated Faith. And so we're going to journal here. And today we're talking about fears. Speak life over fears. And we're looking at 2 Timothy 1:7. I think it's a really interesting topic. I definitely have some thoughts on the way we talk about fear and faith. And so I'm excited to kind of dive in. I have a ton of goodies from Illustrated Faith, and I cannot wait to dig into these. I kind of want to do a junk journal feel on these pages, and we'll see where that leads. So I will put you guys on fast forward. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, let's go. For this particular entry for this devotional, we are going for a junk journal look. What is a junk journal look? That's going to be using a lot of different found items. Typically, junk journaling is going to include lots of different papers, vintage papers. You're going to have bits and bobs of ribbons and threads and some bits of dimension. And a lot of times junk journals happen in vintage books or restructured books. That would be a wonderful way to work through this particular devotion from Illustrated Faith. It's not what I'm going to do because I've been keeping all my devotions in my faith planner. So I'm just going to go for the junk journal feel by using this extra paper kit that was available over at Illustrated Faith. What I'm doing with my papers, I'm very specifically only putting adhesive on a couple sides of the paper because I'm wanting these to be pockets. One of the most fun parts of junk journaling for me is the fact that a lot of the pages are interactive. You'll have tags and pockets and little hidden journaling spots that you kind of have to look for and look into, and I think that that is so fun. I think that's one of the things that draws me to junk journaling the most is I love an interactive page. So I decided for this page, we are going to also have interactive elements, and each of those cards at the bottom, each of those big pieces of paper, those are going to serve as pockets. I'm going to use the scraps that I just cut off and continue those around the page just to frame in the page. There will be some white space, not a ton of white space by the time we're done. That's just a style I like. I like using as much of the space available as possible. Using the scraps of what I have already cut off is also just a way to get the most out of these papers. Now I'm using this paper kit that was from Illustrated Faith. That's a fabulous kit. You can also just use papers that you find. I find going to thrift shops, I can find old books that I can take apart and use for junk journaling. I've even seen people that save pieces of mail, like that junk mail that you get, and repurpose it for junk journaling. There's so many different ways that you can use it. So it's a great way to use what is in your stash. All right, we're softening up edges by adding in some of the florals that came with the kit. I love that I can pop these kind of behind where these pockets are. Again, you'll see how the pockets work in a second, but I can hide some of these florals like they're coming out of the pockets. So we're gonna go ahead and add those in. And again, these are just softening some of the harsh lines. Because I used all this paper, because I'm making these pockets, there are some little harsh areas, and we're just gonna work to soften those a bit with florals. That's one of the best ways I know how to do it. Let's trim off the edges and then take a look at how we can make the pockets work. Before I start, I do want to go ahead and punch these holes. This is the We Are Memory Keepers disc power punch, I believe it's called. I'll try to link it down below. It's fabulous. If you like working in a happy planner like I do, then this is kind of a must-have tool because it allows me to add things into my happy planner. And if I wanted to do a full-on junk journal within a disc system, this would make it really easy. All right, so there are these library cards that coordinate with the kit. So I'm going to pull out 4 of them, and you can see how they just kind of slide in. Now, the ones on the edge, those pockets are a little bit smaller, so you can see it's a little bit of a struggle. That one's not going in. I'm going to have to trim it, and the same with the other side. It's going to have to be trimmed down just a bit. So just taking a little bit of the edge off, and then it's not easy coming in and out. The more you put it in and out, the easier it'll be as I go, but really this is for some nice hidden journaling. It's a great way to respond to some of the questions in the devotional, especially if this is the type of devotional you want to come back to over and over. It's nice that they give you space within the booklet to respond. A lot of times I don't do that though, in case I want to come back to this at a different time, and that way I can look at it with fresh eyes and not necessarily see the responses that I had written down before. All right, still playing with scraps, so I'm going to fill in a few of these little spots just because I have the scraps. So why not? Let's just add a little bit of texture. That's another fun thing about junk journaling, is all of the different textures and layers that add interest to the page. I love that we can kind of embrace different styles each month with these Illustrated Faith devotionals. We can try new things and see what works for us. Junk journaling is always calling my name. I think it's such a fun, kind of imperfect way to do journaling, and when I can embrace that imperfectness, I think it's just awesome. All right, let's hide one more little floral piece in here to connect these two a little bit more. So I'm going to put this one in between. We'll add the adhesive really well. You can see I'm lining up the 2 pages because I want it to overlap the pages just like this. Let's move that, tuck it into both, and then I cut apart the pages once it's adhered down, and then grab that disc punch once again. The subject of the devotion this particular week is speaking life over fear. And something that I think is so important is the acknowledgement of fear as part of the human experience. I think it can be a big disservice if we as Christians say that if you have faith, you should not fear. You should never fear, because we experience fear as humans. That's part of being in this world. However, I love that the devotion talks about speaking life over those fears, not discrediting the fears, but speaking life, speaking truth over them by acknowledging who you are in God and who God created you to be and what God's promises are for you. So it's the acknowledgement of those fears, but then it's meeting those fears with faith, not denying that the fear was ever there, because I think that would be not very authentic. Fear exists. It's a real part of being in this world. However, when you're able to meet those fears with faith, I think that's when you're able to start to conquer some of those fears. I used Elaine Davis's new little alpha block stickers. Those are adorable, to add the title, Speak Life Over Fears. And that's where I can pull up each little card where the journaling is going to be. And now let's add some texture, because again, we're going for the junk journal style. I have a little bit of fabric. We're going to put it right behind where the stickers are. Add some staples, because that's fun texture. And these staples happen to be the bright pink that is also in the kit, so it brings that color in. We're going to just staple the material on the back. This serves 2 purposes. It's going to add a little bit of strength to the card. And these stickers or the alphas are actually stickers, so there's a stickiness to the back. So having the fabric behind it keeps that stickiness from attaching to the paper behind it and allows me to continue to pull out those cards. Again, all about the interactive elements in a junk journal. I think it's tons of fun, and it's also great sometimes to be able to hide some of your journaling. I share a lot of journaling out there in the world, especially faith journaling, but sometimes you want to have it covered just a bit so that it doesn't have to be out there for everyone to see. You can see this one is still a little bit of a struggle, but it got in there eventually. Now that all of my main elements are down, I'm just going to do a little extra decorating. So I love these little plus signs. I need like 14 sheets of them because I think they're so cute. So I'm just going to put them kind of around the page. It's bringing in some colors and moving them around the page. I didn't have a lot of that bright pink until I added it in the staples, so I thought I should probably add it in a couple other spots. And it's also filling in some of the like negative space, some of the dead space that I thought was occurring on the page. I will put these plus signs in 5 different places just because I like having odd numbers on the page. So you can see I'm kind of group it. There's one more little spot over there. And then I went ahead and added that confident hope, because I think that's another way we really meet fears, is really holding on to the hope that we have in God and the assurance we have in His promises. So we're going to put that little reminder up there. I do want a spot where I can write out the verse for this particular section, which happens to be 2 Timothy 1:7. That verse reads, "God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." Once I write out that verse, we'll attach that onto the page, and then I will go through the journaling prompts that Winter gives us in the devotional, and we'll write my responses on each of the different journaling cards for the first 3, and then the last one I will do a quick prayer, and then this faith journaling junk journal type entry will be done. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I'd love to hear your thoughts on junk journaling and your thoughts on my kind of faux junk journaling that I have going on in my faith planner this week. So leave a comment down below. I will link all of the supplies that I used in this video in the description box down below. So be sure to check that out as well. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you all so much for all of your support. We have a fabulous time over on Patreon. It's so great to spend time with people that get just as excited about craft supplies and journaling and all the fun creative things as you do. So if you want to check out that community, you can check out the link for Patreon down in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have an absolutely fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.